Today, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the most twisted mysteries of Poppy Playtime. Where is Boxy Boo? That's right, the massive flesh-eating toy that vanished from our sight before we even got a glimpse of him in the main game. And trust me, his story is a lot darker than you think. So grab your popcorn and a drink and let's go ahead and take a deep dive in. So back when Mob Entertainment launched Project Playtime, they tossed us a curveball, a new bigger body toy, and this thing was absolutely ferocious. Its name was Boxy Boo, and fans went wild speculating that one day he might stomp his way into the main game. But as you'll see, his fate took a shocking turn. In today's breakdown, we're not only revisiting what we know about him from Project Playtime, but also connecting the dots from the ARG tapes, internal memos, and community research. So strap in, because this is going to be one hell of a ride. For starters, let's go ahead and talk about the eerie drawing that we found in the safe haven. It showed a full-blown toy war, with Boxy Boo's name being crossed out. But that wasn't just a mistake, it was a clue to what really happened to him. Let's rewind. At the heart of Boxy Boo's twisted tale lies a Bigger Bodies initiative. Sawyer, the main man behind the plan to turn Poppy Playtime Co. around, envisioned a giant living toy worker. The idea to slash the payroll costs and cut down on lawsuits by replacing human employees with these mechanical monsters. In one of his infamous tapes, Sawyer explained that if you're not human, you're not subject to the same pesky legal issues. And so, the company dove headfirst in creating something that could do more than just entertain. They wanted a workforce of giant, terrifying toys. Enter Boxy Boo. Now, he wasn't just any toy. He was the first success of the Bigger Bodies initiative. Designated Experiment 1160. After numerous failed experiments, Boxy Boo managed to survive a radical transplant and become alive in a way no other toy had before. Sawyer himself couldn't believe his eyes. He hailed Boxy Boo as the breakthrough that would pave the way for a new era. But as we all know, in horror, success often comes with a terrible cost. Despite the scientific miracle, Boxy Boo was far from perfect. His intelligence was lacking. He basically was a hulking, well-meaning failure with one very disturbing twist. He craved human flesh. Yes, you heard that right. Boxy Boo wasn't built to be a cuddly playmate. He was repurposed as a literal human garbage disposal. Early tapes from the ARG revealed that when Sawyer first activated Boxy Boo, he ordered his team to start catering that appetite for flesh. In one chilling moment, Sawyer asked for an update on Rohan Stoll, an employee who knew his way too much around Poppy Playtime's grim experiments. And then Rowan was gone. And we even have a sad letter that he wrote to his mother, as he knew this was going to lead to the death of him. He was consumed by Boxy Boo, and that wasn't a one-off incident. Boxy Boo was systematically used to eliminate unwanted employees. Basically, a great way to cover up the horrible things that they were doing inside of the Playcare. And what better way to do it than have them get eaten by something no human had ever seen before? No one even could believe this thing would exist. The higher-ups didn't even bat an eye. In a meeting, someone coldly remarked that they couldn't kill Sawyer because we need his intellect. Yet when it came to disposing of anyone else, Boxy Boo was the perfect solution. So more or less, if you became useless to the Playtime Co-Factory under Leith Pier, you were going to get absolutely annihilated by the same toy that you might have helped create. This kind of goes off the rails from what we thought Elliot Ludwig's plan was to be about this whole toy thing. If you've been following around these theories, you would think his goal was to help repurpose children who might have been sick or ill into becoming a toy, the bigger body version of one, to live on a more happy and peaceful life. But this twisted turn of events is the first of many. From Sawyer's creation, it developed a flesh eater. Boxy Boo became a symbol of the company's willingness to sacrifice human life for progress. His success wasn't measured in efficiency, but in how many bodies he could clear out of the way. But here's the kicker. Despite all this bloodshed, Boxy Boo's fate took a drastic turn during a fateful event known as the Hour of Joy, a full-scale uprising where the toys went berserk. And even though we didn't get a glimpse of Boxy Boo in Chapter 3, you'll notice in the Hour of Joy, we finally get our first picture of this horrifying creature. And yes, he is in the main game, meaning he's somewhere still inside of the factory, right? During the Hour of Joy, every toy in the factory unleashed a reign of terror. Employees, visitors, everyone indiscriminately attacked. But for Boxy Boo, who had been carrying out his grim duties without a hitch, something went horribly wrong. Now, let's go back to that safe haven drawing, including what looks to be an all-out war between Boxy Boo and other toys, as well as Kissy Missy being on the other side of this. As the battle raged on, evidence emerged in the form of this war drawing, and this wasn't just any drawing. It chronicled a brutal conflict between the faction of toys. On the good side were the surviving toys, marked in blue, while the evil toys outlined in red included Boxy Boo, Pianosaurus perhaps, and notably Boxy Boo's name was crossed out. But why? So the question is, what happened to Boxy Boo after the Hour of Joy? And to answer that, we need to dissect the war painting and all the clues we've gathered. In the middle of the painting, there's a giant crane, a construction behemoth that served as the gateway to the labs. And this wasn't just any battle. It was a territorial war over the control of the labs now that the humans were out of the way. And if you think about it, Boxy Boo would have thrived in that kind of environment. However, there's one character in Poppy Playtime that seems to be able to destroy any toy that gets in his way. That character was introduced to us as Doey the Dough Man. And a lot of the community theorists suggest that in the chaos of the construction site, Doey and Boxy Boo clashed head on. Just imagine this epic battle, a hulking, flesh-eating Boxy Boo going against this giant Doey. And if it wasn't for Doey, I think Boxy Boo would have completely wreaked havoc and the good toys would have lost. If you zoom in to that same drawing, you'll notice 40 dead. But after that, Boxy Boo's face now crossed out, they wrote, "We are losing" on the bad toys end. So it seems without Boxy Boo, this war really took a turn. So is he even still around anymore? Here's where it gets interesting, because even though Boxy Boo's name was crossed out, that very act could be a double-edged sword. Was he truly dead, or was this a ploy by the Playtime Co. to hide a farther, darker plan? Remember in the ARG tapes, Sawyer even mentioned that the first try, it was never perfect. And Boxy Boo, for all his initial success, was a flesh eater. As described, well, he was stupid. A term that hints at a lack of control or strategic thinking. And that's why many theorize that while Boxy Boo did his job disposing of unwanted employees, he might have been purposely set loose during the Hour of Joy to thin out the opposition, only to be discarded once his usefulness was over. Inside the factory, Boxy Boo was nothing if not efficient, but efficiency in a world overrun by reprogrammed toys can be a fatal flaw. His reprogramming wasn't sophisticated enough to adapt once the balance of power shifted during this fatal uprising. And here's a side note. While Boxy Boo might seem like an obvious bad guy, his role was more as an expendable tool, a disposal asset that did exactly what he was meant to do. And when the dust settled on the battlefield, someone had to pay the price for Playtime Co.'s reckless ambitions. Which brings us to the burning question. Where is Boxy Boo now? Was he truly annihilated on that construction battleground, or did he simply fade into the shadows, biding his time for one more opportune moment? Online, the community is split. Some say that Boxy Boo's crossing out in the drawing means he was utterly finished, taken down by Doey or another formidable toy. Others argue that his demise was staged, a cover-up to introduce him later in an even more terrifying form, as he would be a great asset to the toy collecting prototype. But could Playtime Co. have released him on purpose, knowing that his cult status among fans would make his eventual return even more devastating? If you follow the breadcrumbs from the ARG tapes and the internal notes, the possibility is tantalizingly real. And if Boxy Boo is still out there lurking in the deepest recesses of the play care or hidden away by the prototype, then everything we thought we knew about his fate might have been the tip of the iceberg. So let's go ahead and break down some of the main theories around Boxy Boo's whereabouts in the post-Hour of Joy. I've compiled every scrap of info from the ARG, fan theories, and leaked documents to give you a clearer picture. And the first up is the play care theory. We know that the play care is one of the most sinister locations in Poppy Playtime's universe. Some believe that Boxy Boo was never truly destroyed. Instead, he was locked away deep within the abandoned play care facilities, left to rot or be reactivated at a later date. After all, Playtime Co. was known for its off-the-books experiments. If Boxy Boo was too dangerous or too unpredictable, locking him away would make the perfect sense. But then, we stumble across where all these abandoned toys had been locked away in Chapter 4 and still no Boxy Boo. Which brings me to the next theory, and that is that he is simulated by the prototype. So this whole theory is that the prototype, also known as Experiment 1006, has been absorbing and reconfiguring broken toys, creating this horrifying new hybrid. Given Boxy Boo's unique nature as a giant flesh-eating toy, many suspect that the prototype might have taken him, modifying him into something even more lethal, giving him the advantage in whatever's to come in the next chapters. I mean, imagine this. Boxy Boo's aggression, design, and raw physically combined with the prototype's sinister intelligence. Now, that's a nightmare waiting to happen, and it might explain why we haven't seen him in his original form yet in any of the 4 chapters this far. And then we have the third theory, and this is where things get really weird, as maybe Boxy Boo's death was faked. And this theory suggests that the Playtime Co. purposely crossed him out in that war drawing as part of a larger plan, perhaps to build up his legend and to set the stage for an even more terrifying comeback in a future chapter. In this scenario, Boxy Boo's supposed demise was just a ruse or a decoy to misdirect us while the real threat hides in plain sight. After all, in horror, and especially in this twisted world of Poppy Playtime, nothing is ever as it seems. Now, as we piece together this labyrinth history, one thing becomes abundantly clear. Boxy Boo is more than just an abandoned experiment. He's a symbol, a reminder of how Playtime Co. was willing to go to its very end of pursuing a progress, and it didn't matter, even human sacrificing along the way. In his brief appearances, Boxy Boo demonstrates raw power, a relentless predator with a singular purpose. But his lack of finesse, his, shall we say, limited intellect, made him predictable. And predictability in a universe where every toy has a hidden agenda is a huge fatal flaw. So now ask yourself, if Boxy Boo was once the crown jewel of the Bigger Buys initiative, why hasn't he played a larger role in the main series? And the answer might lie in his very design, a design that made him perfect for one thing and flawed in everything else. His eventual fate, whether through destruction or assimilation, was also inevitable. As we know now, this Bigger Bodies initiative over time just got more corrupt, more advanced, more evil, and these toys had an agenda. Now, there's many ways that this could have played out, but I just have a feeling that Boxy Boo either didn't survive, or someone or something is holding him and waiting for the perfect moment for him to strike the player in the upcoming chapter. So this wraps up my Boxy Boo theory as of right now, but I don't think this is going to be the end of our great beloved Boxy Boo. I do think that the reason that they put all this time and effort into creating Boxy Boo, putting him inside of another form of the game, and then teasing us with cutouts and ARG videos, all for him to never show up once in the series, would just be a waste of not only our time, but Mob Games' time. So get ready, because I think Boxy Boo will be introduced really soon, and in a big, horrifying way. And it might just be the Doctor who brings him back. And if you want to know more about the Doctor, Elliot Ludwig, and the prototype, check out this video right here on screen. Make sure you subscribe, and tune in for more awesome Poppy Playtime videos just like this. And I'll see you in the next one. Till then, peace out!